I've been coping, baby, pretending you don't care. I'm hanging on to a heartache. Don't keep making my heart break. 'Cause I never know when you're gonna do it again. I'm hanging on to a heartache. I keep making the same mistake. I know I should be long gone, but after all this time, I'm still hanging on.
All right. It is time for another episode of Two Pastors, Their Guests, Keeping It Real. Man, we got a full house tonight and a great show for everybody. This is our 30th episode too, Charles. Would you believe it? So, 30th episode, so anniversary time, I guess. But so I'm your host, Brian Callies with Callies Ministries. I have my awesome, esteemed co-host with me, Pastor Charles E. Matthews Sr. How you doing, Brother Charles?
Man, I'm blessed, Brian. As always, as I always say, it's just a blessing to be in the land of the dying. I went to the land of the living.
Love it. And we have, I'm going to start with a guest that's been on the show before real quickly. He's being a co-host and guest. So it's really kind of, he's got multiple hats on tonight, even though he's not wearing one. So this is our friend Steve Ball, USISB, Law Enforcement Liaison for USISB. That's the arm of, and what we're going to do is let Steve talk to us a little bit about that during our charity spotlight. So how you doing there, Brother Steve? I'm so used to calling everybody brother.
I'm doing great there, Pastor George. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. All right, now this is a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. So this is a friend of mine, an amazing man. This is the Sheriff Bonner from the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. He is been such a blessing to pastors in general around Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County, because they have a whole side of things that they do that lets us come and kind of support them. They teach us behind the scenes some of the stuff that the officers go through and some of the way the Sheriff's Department works. And we're able to connect with that and kind of be a law enforcement type of clergy that we're able to support them and be there for them. So Sheriff Bonner, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Pastor. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight.
Absolutely honored to have you on the show. I was bragging about it all week. So,
well, I don't know. That might have cut down on your listening or your viewing audience.
Oh, please! Everybody loves you. That's great. Well, Sheriff Bonner, so we have some really cool opportunities to talk to you tonight about some of the things. Of course, we want to talk about multiple topics, but one in particular that everybody's always curious about is the whole COVID thing, right? So let's talk about that a little bit, because there's been some talk and discussion, and maybe debate might be the word, on jails or how some of the things happen. Actually, I'd like to hear about inside of your office and how that COVID thing really hit you, and how you guys are dealing with that internally. I know it's got to be a struggle that I can't imagine.
Yes, it's been very busy for us right now, Pastor. And again, thank you for having me on. But first of all, I'd like to just thank all of our partners, law enforcement partners, our state, local, federal partners, our public health officials that we rely on heavily to collaborate to keep our detainees as well as my staff safe. When this thing first happened, we were all kind of scrambling. We knew things were coming, and so we took precautions early. Very proud of the command staff down in the jail because of the cleaning effort that we took right away, even before it became a pandemic. Even though I was still initially shocked with the number of COVID cases that we had in jail, but police agencies all around the country and jails are struggling, trying to figure this thing out and try to isolate inmates and detainees and try to keep the staff safe as well. So it's been quite challenging here, for the last few months. But
I would imagine we probably didn't have it all planned out and prepped out so that if we ever did have a huge epidemic, I mean, this is kind of unique in a way, right?
Yeah, it is. And you have to think, when our facility was built 38 years ago, nobody built it with pandemics in mind, and never did. I don't think anyone could have predicted this future that we're in now, the new normal, as they say, and practicing social distancing. I mean, it's just like we're talking with you guys, we're all in remote places where normally we probably would have been in a studio together talking, but in practicing social distancing and all the things that we're having to do now, it just makes my staff work under some very difficult situations, trying to keep them safe. And again, I can't express how grateful I am to the correction deputies, as well as the deputy sheriffs and law enforcement, what they do each and every day.
Well, let me say how thankful I am, and everyone in Shelby County is, that you guys have had such a hard thing that hit you, and then you turned around and are not skulking back. You're absolutely vigilant on trying to come up with answers and solutions, and you're still out there in the danger, where some of us are sitting at home avoiding the danger, and not going out in public and stuff. You guys just don't have that luxury.
Well, it's kind of the nature of the business. We still have to patrol, serve, and protect the citizens of Memphis and Shelby County, as well as the detainees that are in our custody right now. So it has been somewhat of a challenge. We experience positives throughout, not only in the jail, but just even through the office here, in the different offices that we have at Sheriff's Office. So it's been quite a challenge to kind of move people around and really try to practice social distancing here in the office as well.
I'll bet. All right. I'm going to try to see if we can't. Now, for those that are watching us, or those who are watching for the first time, make sure you like our page, but then you also make comments, because the floor is open so we can ask some questions for the sheriff. And especially if you're really concerned or thinking about, hey, why did this work? How did this work? What do we do? What's the future? Any of those kind of questions Sheriff Bonner would love to talk to you about. So make sure you put them in, and I'm going to have those sitting right here in front of me, so I'll be able to see that. And make sure we get your questions online here.
Well, let me say this, Brian, before your questions start to come in too. A lot of people, wonder about how many people we have working at the Sheriff's Office. We have close to 2,000 employees that work for the Sheriff's Office. We've got 760 correctional deputies and almost 690 law enforcement officers. So, and then along with the support staff. So it's close to 2,000 employees here. So it is we operate 3 different jail facilities. We are full service law enforcement agency. We patrol out in the county, the fugitive, the courts. When you come down to court, you see our deputies there. So it's a major undertaking, trying to manage it and try to get everybody on the same page just to keep us safe.
No, I couldn't even imagine what it's like to coordinate all that mess, especially in the midst of all this. So that must it takes an army, I'm sure.
Well, it takes a really dedicated staff. Most of my assistant chiefs and chiefs that are in the jail, they're well-experienced officers. They've been around for a while. They understand. We have staff meetings. We even meet over Zoom now because, we're still trying to practice social distancing. And we just had a big staff meeting on Friday and talking with everybody, trying to make sure everybody's needs were covered. And back on April 21st, I had a correctional officer to pass from the virus. So now it's, he worked with other officers there. So now we have mental health people in place to help those officers cope with that and get through that. And so, again, those are all the things that go on each and every day. as to what we have to deal with. And so hopefully, you know, everybody that feels like they need some help will reach out to our program and get the help that they need.
Wonderful, wonderful. Steve Ball, if you know how to do this, buddy, feel free to do a watch party if you would for me.
Okay.
And
Well, I'd
that
like
way
to
we
say
get some more
something
things on.
I'd like to say something about what Sheriff Bonner was talking about. I used to be with the Sheriff's Department, and historically they've had an outstanding command staff. And that command staff, each one of them is an expert in different things. And as a matter of fact, my cousin, before he passed away, what he achieved the rank of deputy chief, two different things. Yeah. Yeah, Joe was up there and kind of cued me into what's going on. And that's a lot of work that goes on with the Sheriff's command staff. Tons. Nobody would believe it.
I couldn't imagine. Charles and I both, I think, got a chance to go through the kind of the clergy side of things and getting a view of some of that. And it does. It's a well-oiled machine the way you guys work. But I can't imagine right now. So you guys are trying to do some of the Zoom things to try to keep that so everybody's still not having to literally be side by side the whole time. I guess.
You have to look at Brian too. I mean, we've got 1,800 inmates at 201 Poplar, 174 at jail east, and 50 down at juvenile court. So people are going back and forth to court. We're doing Zoom with the courtrooms now.
Really?
Minimize the movement throughout the jail to try to kill this virus. So again, it's a major undertaking. What we're doing, I really, and let me hit this too, I really appreciate you and the pastors, all the pastors that came through our academy to see what we do, see what the Shelby County Sheriff's Office is all about, and get a chance to meet some of the dedicated men and women who are here with us.
I'll actually say that if any of my pastor friends, anybody that's watching, if you haven't gone through that and you want to understand a little bit more behind the scenes, but also be there to support these guys. Honestly, they see things every day that you and I don't, ever really experience. And so a lot of times we can be that voice to talk to them about, talk to them about God, but also pray for them. And also maybe we get to talk to them on a little personal level and help them to get through something, a struggle, something they're going through. And they're just regular people, but they're out there doing a super hard job, and it's strenuous and that kind of thing. So it's just a privilege to be able to support you on that. One of the coolest things is being able to pray before they go out on duty. So right after roll call, that kind of thing, we can actually pray for the guys before they hit the field. Pray for their strength and safety and calmness of head, and be able to deal with that difficult situation. So I encourage you guys, once this thing kind of gets past this whole COVID thing, man, look it up. You need to check that out.
Yeah. Love to have them. Would love to have them.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So you mentioned it about the jail thing. Do we want to hop into that right off the bat? Do we want to talk about it?
Sure. We can talk about it.
So the premise of the show is keeping it real. We're going to let you be as real as you can be without, pushing any envelopes for you, but we'd love to hear honestly. There's been some people squawking about that a little bit, about how the jail thing works. And can you tell me a little bit, just kind of an overview of what the situation is?
Well, again, right now today, we have 1,877 inmates. Detainees down at 201 Poplar. And dealing with this COVID-19, I'll tell you this, we've had 160 detainees that have tested positive for COVID-19. Now, of that 160, 156 have recovered We only have, that I know of right now, only four cases that are in the jail right now. So now keep in mind also that police agency, MPD, and all the municipalities are back to work, and they are bringing people into the jail with the virus, that we cannot turn them away. However, through the hard work of our partners and Michelle Best, my expediter, and Amy Wire, the AGs, the public defender's office, the criminal court judges, being able to reduce the population in the jail, we've been afforded now a little room in the jail. Our jail will hold 2,800. So we're down to 1,800. So we have a little room now that we can isolate, quarantine, put people in safe housing. When we had that big number to 134 that tested positive, we were able to move them to a different section of the jail that, quite frankly, up on the 6th floor that we weren't using. And we had a company to come in and sanitize that area before we moved them up there. Kept them up there for 21 days. At the health department recommends 14, but we kept them up there for 21 days just to make sure, had medical, checking them twice a day for fevers and any kind of questions that they have. And let me say this, all the detainees at 201 and in our jail facilities, they can write a slip to say that they need to see the doctor. They're not feeling well, and we're very responsive to their needs. And WellPath is our medical provider, and WellPath has done a good job for us, as well as along with working with the health department. I just can't tell you how valuable they have been for us. Dr. Householder, Dr. Randolph, Dr. Martin, they have just, meeting with us regularly. I can call after hours, any of them. They will answer my phone call if I have a question. So, when you got good people around you and good people that you work with, we can get through this, and we can get through this as a community. We've got to do what we need to do, and practice social distancing, wearing the mask. All of our employees wear a mask. All our detainees wear a mask. And we're cleaning constantly at the jail. So it's good to work with good people.
Chef, but I was going to ask a question before you. When you answered one of them, actually, one of the ones I was going to ask you actually answered. I was going to ask about how did that come about as far as the inmates, possibly, contracting that. But like you said, you answered that because bringing other ones in, from out of the street, that kind of explains that. But so I guess, and I'm pretty sure y'all never stopped, doing the arrest that necessarily really needed it, to be in there. But in the same token, what are some of the things that because I hear you say that, that some of them that tested, and y'all been up there for like 21 days. So what are some of the other things, that you think that possibly could, be in place to kind of help that, as far as keeping, and I know it's hard to do that because you're bringing new ones in, but what do you think can possibly happen? Do you think there's probably could be a system in place somewhere? And I know we're just talking, just asking because I know it takes time to do things, but in an emergency situation like this, or is there anything that maybe be put in place? You got some people they can do the test of the inmates, of people. I just not inmates, but they come into places. Is there anything that they can put in place for you all that you all can do to kind of, when you get them in, you can do that, like when y'all booking them and stuff, where you can kind of test them and maybe see that way you can put them in a certain place and put them in the cells with the other, detainees?
Well, that's a very good question, Pastor. But let me say this: everyone that comes into jail, detainees that come to the jail, they have to answer a questionnaire if they've traveled recently, wherever they've been, and we're looking for hot zones, if you will. If they've been in those hot zones, we check everyone's temperature, even the employees, when they come to work, we're checking their temperature. Just here a few months ago, I canceled all vacations because I didn't want our officers to travel and go into the hot zone. As unfair as that may sound, but you know, everybody likes to go to New Orleans, everybody likes to go to Atlanta, you know, it's where my kids are and stuff. So we had to do that for the greater good, if you will, for everyone that's involved with this. So we've done things like that. Now, kind of touching on what you were saying about getting people released out of jail. First of all, let me say this. This is a misconception or something that's out there. I'm the sheriff, but I cannot release people out of jail. You know, we have a courtroom proceeding. We have judicial magistrates that find probable cause and then order us to detain them. So when I first became elected, I hired a former General Session Judge, Michelle Best, to be what we call an expediter. And what her job is to look at each and every case that's coming in jail. And if that person can be safely released back into the community, and safe being the optimum word here, if we can safely release this person back into the community, we're doing all we can do to get them out of here, to keep our numbers down. As I said, we're a 2,800 bed facility and we're down to 1,800. And trust me, we love the luxury of being able to move people around. And if we do have an issue with quarantine, it's great to have that space available. So, Michelle Best, she works every day. She works every day. She works with the AG. She works with the criminal court, general session, judges. She works with pretrial, public defender's office. So when I hired her because she was a former judge and she knows her way around the criminal justice system. So when we first started trying to get detainees out of the jail, one of the first things we looked at was any detainee that was over 60 years old, 60 years old that may have had a medical condition, and knowing that what this virus, or you know, what we do know about the virus, we knew that we needed to try to get them out if there was some kind of way possible.
Because you were trying to lower the risk.
Right.
Because if they were in a high risk situation, and even if they were detained, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have compassion on the risk factor that they still have.
That's a fact, and you know, so you're trying to get people out of those conditions or out of the jail, if you would, just to free up space for us. And again, you have to do it responsibly. You know, we can't just let everybody go out because there could be a danger to the community. Now, again, that's not up to me. It's working with all of our criminal justice partners, and they come into a conclusion or that person can safely be released from jail for now. So,
and I'm glad you mentioned that, Chef Bonner, because the fact that, you know, like you said, it's not up to you, because, you know, a lot of people, they think that it's up to you and being the sheriff. Because you can do that. They don't understand that, you know, that there are other people that also that you got to kind of let me, if I may be say, answer to before you can do anything. You got to get some, you know, some release instructions from these people. And I think a lot of people got the wrong misconception about how that works.
Right.
They think that you should be able to, and especially especially if it's someone that's close to them, they love one, and they really want to release. They really got a problem. They got a very bad misconception because they think that, you know, that what you the sheriff, you know, and this the first thing I think some of the people, the first thing they say, you know, we elected him the sheriff, and you know, he ain't doing his job. But they gotta understand your job, you're doing your job, but the fact of the matter is that they don't really see and understand the fact of what your job really is. You know what it consists of and who you got to answer to. They got a problem with because they expect you, because they feel like, well, we elected him, he's supposed to be doing his job. They don't even know your job. They want to see how to do your job. Right. And I'm just kind of hoping that I can get somebody, you know, because I do understand. As Brian said, we understand even more because when we went through the academy, for the be we clergy ambassadors for them. You know, we kind of, you know, we pray with them and we do all those things. And we got to understand some things and see some things that a lot of other people, you know, didn't get a chance to understand and see. Because even me being one of them, guess what? I had some issues and some problems that I didn't understand at first before I went through the academy or even got it. Or watch this. Or maybe even do this. Maybe you can just try to talk to one of them. Even if you, you know, get a message to from here, talk to whoever you can. Ask some questions, because your understanding that you get ain't what it really is. They got a harder job than y'all realize, because they got other people they got to answer to before they can just let people go. Not only that, they let everybody go, because watch this. If you commit a crime, now I know this pandemic going on, but if you commit a crime, and guess what? You got to go through the process of getting yourself, you know, what I want to call, you know, doing your time, serving your time. Because, you know, I just want people to understand, because as Steph Bunny said, you know, we as pastors, this pastor, I don't know about something else, but this pastor I understand, and I'm pretty sure Brian understands. But I just want to also make sure that, you know, it's being clear that, you know, people understand that, you know, y'all are doing everything you can, you know, and especially your hands up. You can only do so much, and then there's some other people that's in line that you gotta wait till they just gonna answer.
I've got to be able to work with them. Yeah.
Right, but also
Pastor, let me say this, you know, too, that since about February, we've released about 730 people out of jail. So I mean, you know, it is a process and it is going on, you know. But heck, I wish we didn't have but a couple of hundred people in jail. You know, it would really make my life easy. But unfortunately, we don't live in that time right now.
Well, what's so just out of curiosity, what's the argument? I mean, they want you to release more people? Is that the theory?
Oh yeah. The argument is just to let more people go, and
because of the risk thing. We're thinking about the risk.
Because of the risk, yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of that across the nation, and I'm glad the sheriff explained how Shelby County is, because in different places across the nation, they're letting too many out, or they're not letting enough out, depending on who you ask. And nonviolent offenders that don't pose a safety risk, especially if they're in that you know, risk factor zone, that's great. But you know, the thing is, I mean, he explained it. You know, it's not the sheriff's job to release them. That's judicial. That's not law enforcement. But one thing, and we're getting into differences, and a lot of people don't understand. This is one major question I want to ask for you to explain the difference between the Shelby County Sheriff and the Memphis Police Director. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah. And another question, Sheriff Bunny, I got on the list that I want to ask about, because this is one of the big questions too that people got a problem with, like I said, and that way, you know, you can explain it to them. That, you know, even especially once now the news can get a hold of stuff, you know, they're gonna blow it up and make it something bigger than normally what it is anyway. But one of the big problems people have a question about, because they hearing, that's what I'm hearing a lot of people say, where they said it's unclean conditions in there, and they can't shower, they can't do this, they can't, you know, they're just unclean in that form. So can you kind of, you know, tell people, I mean, from that point of view, what's going on?
What's going on? Yeah, sure. I'm glad you asked that question, Pastor. We provide soap for each and every inmate there at the facility. Some of our detainees are in the pods where they can wash clothes as much as they want to wash them, because we have washers and dryers in some of the newer section of the jail. So, and again, we provided masks for every detainee that's incarcerated in all three of the facilities. So, you know, we're not moving them around as much, but that's only because for the safety of them as well as the officers. We're trying to starve the virus, if you will. We're trying to starve the virus and not move so many people around. So if we do have a flare up in a particular pod, then we can isolate them, quarantine them, and then try to get. We've been fortunate to where we hadn't lost a detainee death or anything. So we've been very fortunate so far. And again, I'm just so proud of our staff and the medical providers and the health department, the leadership that we get from the health department. And we're talking to Shelby County Health Department literally every day. I mean, trying to find out, making sure what we do. We cleaned the jail. We even purchased a sanitizer machine to where we're sanitizing the tunnel area that detainees go from the jail to the courtroom up to the holding cells before they go into the courtroom. We're sanitizing it ourselves and everything. So, I mean, I don't want the virus in the jail. Wish it never happened. Right. But you know, I think right now what we're doing is everything that we could possibly do to starve that virus out of the jail.
Right. And I heard
how many might have you think might be symptomatic right now? Do you know?
Well, right now the number we have now is we only have 4 detainees with the virus right now. But I do have I've got 61 correctional officers that are out right now due to the virus or being exposed to the virus through someone else. Because you have to keep in mind, it's not only in the jail, but you know, in our everyday lives. If you go around your family member or something, and they have COVID-19, you automatically have to quarantine for 14 days. So right now we've got 61 correctional deputies out. We've got 4 law enforcement officers out. And out of the 61 correctional officers, we still have a lieutenant that's in the hospital over at the VA. Wow. That's trying to fight this virus.
Wow. And I heard you say also, Chef Bonner, you said that y'all give, you'll get them bars of soap. And you were saying that, that they could wash because they got washes in the new section. But do everybody get that opportunity to wash it? Is it just the people that's in the new section?
No, that's kind of in the new section. What we do in the I guess the older part of the facility, if you will, you know, they're having their clothes washed at least twice a week, at a minimum of twice a week. We're changing sheets. They are provided disinfected with rags to clean the common areas, if you will, just like you would if you were in a situation where you were around a lot of people all the time. It's disinfect to clean those areas. Again, we have our own cleaning disinfectant machine that we purchased now to try to mitigate this virus.
I got a quick question for you, Sheriff. This is from the audience there. One of our audience Kay asked, do they have the right to blood draw check people coming into the jail population? Since I'm sure the jail population, Max Sheriff stated, is 2,800, is not one detainee obviously per cell. I've heard they do temperature checks.
Right. We can do temperature check, but it's just like you, Brian, Pastor. Our detainees are just like anyone else. We can't make anyone take a COVID-19 test.
Really?
When we did our mass testing here a few weeks ago, we had detainees that refused to take the test. And, you know, we can't make them take the test. So you would hope that everyone would want to know, but if they didn't want it, then we could make them. So the information that we have when a detainee does come to our facility is because they tell us, yes, I've been diagnosed or I have COVID-19, and that's how we know.
Because it takes a little bit of time once you test them anyway, right? And then what her specific question was, do you have the right to draw blood? I don't know that that's a test out there for blood.
No,
drawing,
we can't draw blood. Not looking for COVID-19 now. If we were talking about a DUI or something like that, then we could, because then we have probable cause. You kind of get into a little different law, if you will, but just to check to see if they have COVID-19, we can't do a blood draw. Excuse me, a blood draw on that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
And also, Brian, if I can ask Chef Bonner, I heard you say that y'all, y'all get them a questionnaire to fill out when they come in there, and I'm pretty sure, as you know, because I'm more likely, because most of the men that are in there because probably of their dishonesty. So, you know, you got some probably gonna come in and they ain't gonna be honest.
Right.
So how do y'all, you know?
Well, good question again, Pastor. You really don't, you know, that's all we can do is just ask them, have they traveled recently? If they traveled, where did they go? Now, we are going to check their temperature. A nurse is at the window. A lot of people don't realize this, is when you're brought to one of our jail facilities, there is a nurse that is in the window that checks that person. You know, we're looking for not only physical issues, you know, if he has a scratch or a mark on his face or her face, you know, we want to know where it came from. We're looking if the person is bleeding. If they are, then, you know, we're going to get immediate medical attention to them. So there's a lot of questions that are asked. You're asked if you're hurting anywhere, if you have medical issues. For instance, if you came to jail and you were a diabetic, it would be good for you to tell that nurse from the very beginning that you're diabetic.
Right,
so we can make sure that you get the medication that you need while you're there. Hopefully you will make bond within 24 hours, but if you're going to be there a while, we need to know that.
Right.
And so COVID-19, I understand what you're saying, but and then even when we bring them into our facility at 201, we're actually putting them, because of the space that we have, we put them in a housing to where we quarantine them for 2 weeks. It gives them an opportunity to make the bond before we move them up on the floors in the jail where our other detainees are at. So we're keeping a watch on them before we ever move them up.
Well, that's a smart idea. I know a little bit about horses, and in the horse world, we do something similar to that. Like if you're going to move a horse from one place to another, you always kind of keep them separated for a little bit from others so that you can kind of just make sure that they don't have any kind of illnesses or sicknesses or stuff like that. Not that I'm trying to compare it. I just understand the logic of that.
Right.
That makes sense to be cautious. In fact, Kay, the one that mentioned that earlier, she's commented here that she likes your caution and sounds like a very conscientious man who wants to do his job with the clarity for the public. So that's what I want to thank you also for being so honest and trying to be so clear.
And one thing also, Pastor, I forgot to mention that once they do come inside the facility, they are automatically issued masks when they first come in. We were very, very fortunate early on to be able to get over 2,000 masks from the state, where detainees up in Nashville made those masks for us. I sent someone to Nashville. When they told me they were ready, I put somebody in a car that same day and went to Nashville and got them. So we start passing them out to all our detainees at 201. So when someone comes in our facility now, they're automatically given a mask immediately. So whether you do or you don't, or you may, we don't want you to catch anything while you're here, and we certainly don't want you to bring anything into the facility as well.
Understand. And so, and also just a side note, don't beat me up about my statement on the horse thing. That's not anyway, you know, it's just from my logic and my point of view, it makes sense to kind of stage that. But Sheriff Bonner, what you just said about the gloves and the masks, are we still in need? Is the sheriff's office still in need of something for gloves or masks?
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to always, Black Lives Matter just gave us 1,000 masks, or was supposed to give us 1,000 masks last week. I don't know for sure if we have received them or not, but yes, we are, because we don't know how long this pandemic is going to go along. You know, we don't know how long this new normal, if you will last. So yes, we are still in need of masks, gloves. We're accepting anyone that want to give us masks. We're more than happy to have them for our staff, and as well as the detainees and even our law enforcement officers. And let me tell you what a great job those guys are doing out in the streets. You know, their cars are getting sanitized every Friday. Now, we hope we hoping that we're going to be able to purchase a sanitizer machine out at the substation, but they're practicing social distancing. We don't have roll call like we used to. A lot of the roll calls occur just like what we're doing tonight by Zoom. The sergeant talks to all the patrolmen on his shift by Zoom and tell them information that's going on and things that they need to know about that's going on in their particular areas of responsibility. So this is a new wave. I was talking to a friend of mine today and talking about when will the schools open up and the different job that SCS has trying to figure this one out. You know, I don't think you can responsibly put laptops in every child's hand, but but you know they've got a tough job ahead of them if we don't come up with some type of cure or vaccination for this. So you know, I'm preaching to the choir, kind of saying it, but you know, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to deal with this and how to do things differently. And I think that the men and women at Shelby County Sheriff's Office is doing a great job. The public should be proud, and I'm very proud of them.
I got a quick question. So we talked to Ricky Floyd, Apostle Pastor Ricky Floyd, last week, and he was saying that in the Fraser area, for example, that you know, the $1,200 paycheck everybody got, it's elevated the problem of overdoses. The overdoses have grown quite a bit, and I'm curious, has crime in general, because I'm thinking about it from the kids' point of view. Well, they're not in school, and so kids with not a lot to do sometimes get into some trouble. And I'm just curious, has that gone up quite a bit on the crime thing, or is it?
I'll tell you right now, we're holding our own out in Patrol Division. Year to date, our crime is down 7.6%. However, what we are seeing a tremendous spike on is thefts from motor vehicles. People are leaving their cars unlocked with their valuables in, and weapons in particular that are in their cars. And then, you know, we've got crews that's work in neighborhoods that just come out and they will pull door handles in a neighborhood. And made a great arrest about a week or so ago out in the suburbs, where we were able to take 3 into custody that had just been absolutely wearing us out in the Lakeland and the Arlington area. And we were able to get them in custody. Matter of fact, they had some goods from the night before car break-ins they had done. So it was a very good case that they were able to make. But unfortunately, and I say this very, very meaningfully, that 2 of them were juveniles. You know, these were kids that, you know, may or may not, you know, you're talking about 15, 16-year-olds that should have been doing something else besides going through somebody's car, burglarizing it and stuff. So I think we all can admit that juvenile crime is up. This is something that that we all got to take ownership in. We as adults, we've got to take ownership on it. We've got to be able to give these kids something to do, to provide good leadership for them. And my wife and I, we raised 2 sons, and we kept our boys busy. You know, they play year-round sports.
You know what it's like with kids. You get it. Kids with idle time, nothing to do, bored. All right, you better give them something, because they're going to come up with something to do. So give them something productive, maybe. So
And Sheriff Bonner, it's good you said that, because you sure right, and I noticed that too. Because you know what? Because even at one point, you know, I just think a few weeks ago, I know they had even left Tennessee. These are what we just called you know, underage, what we just call them
Juveniles.
These juveniles. And what it was that they left Tennessee and came to Mississippi, you know, and they was down at you know, they was coming down there. They came and went. They was getting them charges from down at the lot down there, the challenges, the charges stuff. And so, and I think they called him. But what got me is that when they just said, and it's the truth about the juvenile. They said, and actually all of them was juvenile. They said I think they ranged from 12 to 16. You know, like you said, they should look like to me. that should be something else that they should be able to have to do or be doing instead of thinking about stealing burglarizing cars or stealing cars, you know, for whatever reason, you know.
Well,
And it's something because what can they do to put something in place, or have they tried, or do you got anything to think about? I know right now they can't do too much, but you know, putting in place 40. So there's not a lot of first of all, there's not a lot of the what we call them, like the YMCA's and sports clubs and all this stuff like they used to be. You know.
But right now it's kind of shut down anyway, right? So
right.
What were you saying on that, Sheriff?
Well, I mean, it's just like over the weekend, Ron, we had, what, 15 people to get shot in Memphis over the weekend. And you know, it's quite disturbing to me when you see the lack of, or the...
Now, that's not typical for
no, it's not typical, but
our
still,
audience to understand.
you know, it hurts me as, not only as the sheriff, but it just hurts me being a lifelong Memphian to see things like that happening in our city. And then you wonder, you know, where are we going? You know, what are we doing? And how do we keep our young people, and not all of them are young people, but some of our juveniles are doing some terrible things out here. And so a lot of times you have to wonder, you know, where's the parent? And you hope that the parent will be the parent and not their friends. I tell parents that all the time. You know, you can't be their very best friend and be a parent also. You got to be able to say no sometimes. And raising two sons, I know I told them no a bunch of times, my wife and I did, but you know, you got to be the parent. You know, you can't be that friend that just go along with anything that they want to do and what they want to, you know, how they want to act.
So we have a question from our online, our Facebook thing. And one of the questions is, what can we do to change the mindset of our young people? That was from Evelyn. I know my point of view, but Sheriff, I'll let you go first. But
well, changing the mindset, I think I would just like to see parents become more involved.
Yes.
A lot of times when I'm out, and when we were out going to community events, it's just so good to see young parents with their children around them, making sure they know who they're with, what they're involved in, who are their friends, and what's going on in their lives. You know, a lot of times I tell parents, when my wife and I were raising our sons, you know, we sat down at the dinner table together. And I quit talking and I let them talk. How was your day? And you let a kid talk long enough, he's going to tell you what's going on. And then those are things that, you know, that you need to address later on. So a lot of times, you know, we as parents, sometimes we talk too much and don't listen enough and listen to what our kids are going through and what's on their minds, because it's different than it was when I was growing up. You know, different music, different way of doing things. Our kids now are so mobile now because everybody has a car. When I was a kid, you know, I couldn't go from Orange Mound to Westwood, you know, without catching a bus or something, you know. And so now our kids, if they don't have a car, their friends got a car. So now, you know, the kids are out rolling, and when they're rolling and going places and doing things, you know, you as a mother or a father, you know, you got to know who they with and what they're doing. I expect you, just tell my boys, if you're telling me you're going to A, then I expect you to be there within 20 minutes, and that's where you're supposed to be. And I used to execute search warrants in my boys' rooms and stuff. And I would go in their rooms and just start going through their drawers and stuff. And I remember one time I did it, Pastor, and my oldest son said, "Hey, Daddy, this is my room." I said, "No, sir. This is me and your mother's house. We're just allowing you to stay in this room for a little while. But, you know, I want to know what you got in the drawers. What's in your backpack that's maybe not supposed to be there." But you know, no, you don't have any expectation of privacy in my house. You know, you're in my house. I want to know what you got in your room. So, you know, parents have just got to kind of get back to the basics. And
absolutely.
Really try to find out what their kids are doing, who they're around, and things that they can find, even finding as simple as what are their interests. my boys like playing sports, but you might have a musician on your hands. You might have a kid that likes to draw and stuff. So if he's art inclined, then you need to be trying to follow that kid toward art stuff.
And I also will say this, I see this a lot, and you're right on the money, Sheriff Bonner, right on the money with that with kids. Since that's kind of what Charles and I and Steve all work with, the children, especially missing exploited sex traffic side, but we see that there's commonalities that we see, especially when they have high ACEs scores and stuff like that. And the number one thing that we see the evidence proves is a relationship with your child makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
It just does. The most of the time, kids that get into trouble, they're dealing with something, they're fighting something, something's up, they don't belong, they don't feel like they belong, the world's against them, whatever you want to say. And then they hang out with certain kids because they ain't going to do it by themselves usually, right? It's pretty rare, I would think, Sheriff, you could maybe agree, that we're going to go do a joyride and go knock over a store, we're going to go steal some stuff out of a store, we're going to go do something. It's usually there's been more than one person in that picture. It's not a child going off by himself doing this, right?
No,
and
it's not. That's like what we went through, what was it, about a year and a half ago, Brian, where we went down to DeSoto County and we listened to Sheriff Rasco, and we're listening to one of his officers that was talking about children on the internet, on their phones. And the one lady that said, well, she owns her own phone, I can't look at it. And they asked, what age is she? Well, she's 16 years old. And then me, I blurted out, I said, yes, it's legal for you to look at it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can take it away because she is a minor in your charge. And people don't understand. A lot of times you have to look at these things. Don't let a child have a password that you can't get into their phone, you can't get into their computer, because a lot of times you have to dig, and not because you're prying, not because you're a bad person, but you do that for the safety of your child.
Yeah, and another thing, just real quickly, since we're on the subject, what I'll say is what I see a lot is, again, let's go back to horses for a minute. I got a lot of relationships with horses. Things. A horse or a dog, if you only tell it no all the time and never give it that positive encouragement, meaning, I don't mean you always say, look, you build them up falsely. What you got to do, though, on a child that I've seen is that if you're only slapping the wrist all the time, then that's going to get old, right? And eventually you're not giving them a safe thing to do. Like I had one mother that just constantly told their child, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. Now the child is so frustrated, it's going to run away. Well, yeah, it's kind of like in prison, I would agree, because there was no positive. All right, you can't do this, but you can do this. I never heard that build up. Or talking to the daughter like, you can do anything you want to do. Be anything you want to be. You just got to try harder at this, and this. I never heard it like that. It was all the negative side.
Right. And sometimes, Brian, we have to show our kids the way. Sometimes our kids are not sure as to what they want to do. And that, as a parent, you talk to them and you ask them, what are their interests? And so my wife, and I have to give my wife credit, she steered our sons into their career paths because she would ask them what did they like to do. And, it just reminds me of a quote that Frederick Douglass said one time, that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And you think about what that really is, what's that's really saying,
strong.
That's really powerful when you think about it, because when you have children and they are in that impressionable age, where you can really mold them and shape them. And once they become men, then, you know, it's hard to do anything with a grown man. You know, I don't listen to my wife at all anymore. You know, I'm just kidding.
I told you to keep it real. You just got yourself in trouble now.
I'm just kidding, but you know, when you get older and you get set in your ways, you know, it's hard to kind of change things sometimes. And not to say that you can't, because there are a bunch of success stories, you know, where men and women have gotten into trouble, and they've turned their lives around. But it's easier to build a strong child than to repair a broken man. So
Into that.
I just hope that your listening audience and all will just kind of remember that quote. It's a great quote.
I love it. I love it. And I'll also say this is a positive encouragement to every child that's out there. It doesn't really matter what's happened in your past. It doesn't matter skin color, doesn't matter economics, whatever. You can absolutely be one of the happiest people in the world. You just have to choose to find the right answers to make you into that person that you want to be. And all of us can. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter if you've made mistakes. It doesn't matter if you're the most popular. All that stuff is junk in the past, because it doesn't change who you can become in the future. And so, and you have every right and every opportunity. You just got to get around some people that will help you to fulfill that opportunity and to reach that goal.
I've had some successes in my life. My greatest success is to see that my two boys have grown into good men.
Yeah. And if I
that
may,
was my greatest success.
Amen.
Yeah. And if I may add, you know, Brian and Chef Bonnie and Steve, look, if I may add too, you know, I always say, look, you know, it's easy to point out the negative things about our children and to them that they ain't, and that they ain't not doing, and that they know that they messing up at, you know. But what's really, you know, important is that we give them, you know, the answer to the solution, the way out.
Right.
You got to really teach them, you know, look, it's easy to tell them, you know, you just a mess up, boy. You know, you just terrible. But what about telling them how to get better? That's important. That's what we got to remember. A lot of times with children, that's what happens. That's why they get worse, because we don't tell them how great they are. We tell them how terrible they are, but we never tell them how great they are.
Right.
You know, and no matter how many times I tell them, you keep telling them how great they are. You are telling them how terrible they are. I guarantee you, they may not say anything listening, but if you keep telling them how great they are, guess what? They'll become great.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're helping them, you're instilling in them. You're really, you know, you're not, they won't think, well, all you do is tell me I ain't nobody, you know. But when you tell them that they somebody, you tell them, you let them know when they messed up, when they messed up. But let them know that they're greater than that person, than that situation they got themselves in, you know, that problem they had, you know. Let them know they're greater than those things. You know? And then I think that'll be one of the solutions to helping, you know, our children to kind of become out of the negative things. They go, 12-year-old going, or 15-year-old, that Jeff Bunn said, 15-year-old, juvenile, taking a car. Tell them, you know, well, yeah, you was wrong. You took that car, you messed up, you was wrong. But guess what? You ain't got to do that. Let me show you how to work. As a matter of fact, let me show you how to start your own business.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sheriff, thank you so much. And we're running out of time, man. This time flew, man.
Shout out, Brian.
Yes, sir. I did have one more quick question for you, Sheriff Bonner. Since we're always here to be a help and a support, what can we as the public do to help and support the Sheriff's Department, and especially in this time, this whole COVID time, which is a strenuous time, but in general, what can we do to support you and to help you? Or maybe the clergy. We can.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because people are always, first of all, pray for us. We need your prayers. This is a very difficult time for all of us, not only praying for the Sheriff's Office, but pray for our community as well. And we can always use any kind of mask, gloves, things that we can do to keep our officers safe, as well as all of our detainees safe. So, you know, we're still accepting donations for any type of PPE type equipment, and we would certainly appreciate it. But I'd just like to say to your audience to please stay safe. Please practice social distancing. We can get through this, but it's going to take all of us to get through this, and we all got to work together and wear your mask. Just, you know, be responsible to the people that you're around. And I wear a mask whenever I'm out, even when I'm off duty. If you see me out, you're going to see me with a mask on. So it's not only to protect me, but to protect you from me. So just everybody, we just got to work at this thing together.
All right. I agree. Well, Sheriff Bonner, unfortunately, we're out of time, and I want to be respectful of your time, Sheriff. So let's do a quick, Charles, maybe it's appropriate. Can we go ahead and do a quick prayer for you, Sheriff Bonner, before you guys head out? Would that be all right?
Yes.
Definitely. Amen. All minds cleared. Father God, we coming to you because you said that we can come to you, God. You said we can come and ask you anything. You said in your word that we can ask and it shall be given. You said that if we seek, we shall find, and that if we knock, the door will be open unto us, Father. Lord, we come in more for the thanking you than we are to asking. Yet, you said that we can ask, Lord. So you said, well, there's 2 or 3 assembled together in your name, touching and agreeing on one accord, that you would be in the midst. Thank you, God, for being in the midst right now, Father. Lord, we ask a special prayer, special blessing, Lord, that you continue to just keep and protect Sheriff Bonner and all the sheriff department, you know, and the police department, Lord, law enforcement, Lord, just keep them in your care, will your way, Father. Lord, lead and direct their paths, Lord. Let them lead not to their own understanding, Father, but by every word that comes out of your mouth, Father. Lord, give them the things to do, Lord. And while you do it, Father, even if you touch their mind, Lord, Father, Lord, because we realize that the people in this world have so many messed up people for different reasons. But Lord, you said that you do anything before, and you're no shorter than you do, Father. So we're asking right now, Father, you just touch us as a whole, and then touch us individually, Father, Lord. Touch us minds, and touch our hearts, touch our spirits, Father. Lord, we need you. The sheriff department needs you, Father. Lord, the police department needs you, Father. Lord, Sheriff Bonner needs you, Lord. The deputies need you, Father. Lord, the officers need you, God. Lord, we crying out to you, Father. Although we come more to tell you thank you, we just want to tell you much about you. Thank you for all you've done, and we praise you for all you don't go do, Father. Lord, so we ask right now, Father, that you do it, and like only you can do it in a mighty way, Father. Lord, just give peace, Father. Give peace to the mind of the people, Father, that they may be able to understand the law got to prevail, and they got to obey the law of the land, Father. Even get a law enforcement officer and our law enforcement officials, Lord. Get them a mind to understand, Father, even doing their job, Father, to continue to do it to the best of their ability, to be fair to everybody, Father, so that we can continue to be in harmony and in peace, Father. But we want to tell you thank you in advance for all you've done, and we praise you for all that you're going to do, especially for Sheriff Bonner and Brian and Steve Ball and myself. Lord, thank you for giving us the wisdom and knowledge to know what to say. Hopefully we help somebody to answer that we have given it. Sheriff Bonner has given it. The question that we have asked, Lord, we tell you thank you in advance, and you've done the Son of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's name. We pray for our community, our people, Lord, our loved ones. We just thank you. Help us, Lord. We need you, and we can't make it without you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Woo, talk about a power prayer. Charles doesn't hold back much, does he? Well, Sheriff Bonner, I want to thank you. You've been watching two pastors, their guests, keeping it real. We had an amazing show, an amazing guest tonight. Sheriff Bonner with Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and he's been absolutely keeping it real. If you guys didn't catch it all, go ahead and rewind it and check it out. Make sure you like the page. Put down some more comments, and if you have any specifically for Sheriff Bonner, I'll make sure he gets those and he can respond to those. Again, thank you. Love you guys, and love the Sheriff's Department, man. You guys are amazing. If you have to bow out, we humbly respect your time. I wanted to give a quick moment for our charity shout out to Steve Ball is going to be mentioning that this time. Is that okay with you, Steve?
That's
Talk
fine.
a little bit about it.
Yeah, the USISB, United States Investigative Services Bureau. We are the aftermath arm, you might say, of Brian Callies Foundation, Saving Lost Kids. Saving Lost Kids, what they do is they basically center on education to try and get the kids to choose the right path. But if these kids get caught up in something, if they get trafficked, if they get exploited in any way, that's where we come in to help mitigate those factors. And we need money. I hate to ask for money, but we need money. We can't operate without funds, and that goes for both sides of it. So the USISB, we want to get these kids returned. We want to get them returned to a safe place. If that place is not the home that they came from, we have to get them somewhere. It's the home that they came from may not be that safe. A lot of children are trafficked from their own home. So we need the funds to be able to actually convey these mitigating factors, to get everything into the right order, get these kids where they're safe.
Thank you, Steve.
That's the main thing.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate
Brian will
that.
tell you how you can contribute.
Yeah, and how you can find out more. So USISB.org, USISB.org. If you'd like to make a donation, SLK in Saving Lost Kids is what that stands for, SLK. It's just our partner organization. Both sides, we can earmark it for USISB if you'd like, but just text SLK to 41444. SLK to 4144, or visit us at USISB.org. Thank you so much, Steve, for that. And hey, we're a proud partner with the Shelby County Sheriff's Office as well. As soon as Sheriff Bonner realized kind of what we did, and he immediately recognized the issue and why we need to always try to focus on the children. So he jumped in to welcome us with both arms. So Sheriff, thank you so much for that. That means a lot. And again, thank you for being on our show, guys. Tomorrow, we're excited to see you tomorrow. I'm going to keep our guest tomorrow somewhat private because we haven't had it 100% confirmed, but it's going to be an amazing show if we can get who I think we're going to have on tomorrow. They haven't confirmed it yet. So, but tomorrow, right here, 7 o'clock, make sure you like the page, invite a friend, and we will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Right, man. Right. All right, everybody.
I'm gonna make it plain, I don't care for no cheating ways you didn't think I'd find out. Don't blame it all on the rain, don't say it's just another phase. You make me stand up and shout, quit pulling my heartstrings. It's